If I go and stand on a main road and squint my eyes slightly and 15 SUVs drive by, I'm not going to tell the difference. They're homogeneous and they're usually the same colour. There's nothing to them. They're the missionary position. They are a vanilla milkshake. They are everything that's completely average in life. This model of AMG is the last in a series which is not going to be a V8 anymore. It's a kind of four-cylinder hot. I don't even want to talk about it. I don't even want to read about it. When I first got interested in this car was because I was listening to it. It was around my neighbourhood. Someone had one. The sound was just demonic. And I was at the pub one day talking to the boys and I said, have you heard that car going around the neighbourhood? And they all said, yeah. How good does it sound? This was in 2015. And then one morning I was walking early with my wife and at the lights was a C63 S in black. And I said to my wife, that's one of those cars. That's one of those cars with a 4-litre twin turbo. Everything that should have been turned on was turned off and everything that should have been turned off was turned on. So the pipes were on and it was all happening. And he took off and in second and third gear he dug his foot into it. It was orchestral. And I looked at my wife and I said, you know what that is? And she said, what? And I said, that's Dracula getting home before the sun comes up. And that was that image I had of this car. I can't think of a time in my life where I didn't want to talk about cars or love cars or admire them or hear them. When I was young, because cars were more distinctive in those days, you know, back in the 70s and 80s, a car would drive down the street, you had to close your eyes and you had to guess what sort of car it was by the engine. And we used to do that between our mates and compete. It's a 186 Tirana S. If it was raining on a Saturday afternoon, all the boys would ring each other on the phones and say, right, we'll meet you at the shops. And we'd all go driving in the rain for the next 3 or 4 hours because we could just do power slides in the rain and we'd learn to drive and we'd love that and then we'd finish off later at night. I once took my mum's car when I was 13 and took it up to an area near my house where the roads were big and wide for semi-trailers. And we went to the service station once and stole a whole lot of oil because the oil used to be between the bowsers. You could just pull up, open your door and grab it. And we'd pour the oil on the road and then we'd go and drive in the oil to practice. And we used to do a circuit from the eastern suburbs of where I live up into the mountains and back down the other side. And that circuit took about an hour. And we used to time ourselves to do that circuit at 1 o'clock in the morning. And you know, this was how I grew up. I'd been driving around breaking the speed limit too much and probably a danger to the community until my stepfather said to me one day, you should go and race cars. And I had never thought about that. I had been doing some club-based rallying and I'd done a lot of go-karting. I joined one of the local car clubs or like a state car club. And that was a Porsche, and that was good. That was good. I came second in one of their championship things. And then my stepfather said, you should go and get a proper race car and you should do this properly, which I did. So I went and bought a Porsche race car. It was a piece of shit. But so you spray a lot of money. It's like putting a fire hose with money coming out of your car until you get it to the point where it's competitive. And that's what we did. And that was in the Porsche series, and I had a good bunch of guys around me. And we were quite successful. I think I won 2 state championships and a national championship with that car over a 3 or 4 year period. I don't know anyone that I raced with that thought about their mortality, and I never thought about it either. Phillip Island's a great track. It's on the seaside and you go over the main straight and it opens up to the most amazing vista of the ocean and you go down to turn 1. We got halfway around the track and you go over this section called MG. As I was coming into brake, a wheel with some suspension attached to it went over the top of my head and landed in front of me and bounced and then shot left and went over that way and hit another car. And I thought, oh, okay. So, but you just keep going. You just put your foot down. It's just button on. They red flagged the race and we came and we stopped. And I went back to the pits and I said, how long do you reckon we're going to have to wait around for all this rubbish to be sorted out? Because it's frustrating. You just want to be racing. 2 of the guys said, I'm going home. And I kind of was wondering why they bothered about that. But I remembered that previously that day, a guy in another racing category had pulled into the pits and the brake pads were on fire, which was no big deal. It's no big deal. No one's losing sleep about that. The call from the crew chief was to send that car back out, which he did. And when he went back out, he was going down into Honda, and it's a very, very fast downhill part of the track with a kink in it, a left-hand kink in it. It was reasonably early in the late morning. And when he got to that part of the track, the brakes locked up and the car tweaked and jumped onto the grass. But the grass was dewy, so the car's speed, it was never going to slow down. And it hit a wall of dirt that was built with tyres and dirt at the same time. And the car submarined so hard into this wall that the dirt came out the other side, 4 metres of dirt came out the other side and covered my race trailer. And I saw that, and he died instantly. Helicopter came. It was terrible, but it shook a lot of people up in the paddock. Then we went out for our race, and this tyre came over my car. I realised I was the odd man out because I'm saying, let's go. But a few of the other boys said no, and I was surprised they didn't call a day off when I reflect on that. It's an example, I think, of the sort of people that go racing. In the year that I won the national championship and the state championship, I actually had a racing coach. My racing coach was a guy called Russell Scaife. Not many people would know Russell Scaife, but they would know his son, Mark Scaife, who was a very, very successful supercar driver. Russell used to say to me the first time at Sandown, he said, "You've got to intimidate these guys, mate, otherwise they're not going to take you seriously." I say, okay, well, how do I do that? I'm in my car. I can't tell them to f*** off. Just give him a bump. Just give him a bump. So, oh, what do you mean? Just give him a bump. So we'd go out to the track at Sandown, we'd be on our warm-up lap, getting the tyres warm, getting ready to dress the grid, and I just started giving people a bit of a bump. And I just, fuming about this, And when you get back in, they were unhinged. That was the way in which, and I did that for the rest of my racing career. There are 4 things that I like talking about, and one of them, at the very top of the list almost, is cars. I'm in a position where I've been able to have a few cars at the same time. I'm very fortunate to be in that position. I've sold a few cars and I regret every car I've sold, which is just weird and probably a car guy thing, I reckon. So I don't think I'll do that again. I don't think I'll sell anything again. So I've got to be really careful with what I buy. This is a Series 1, which is a 2015. From 2015 to early 2018 was Series 1, then the Series 2 came out. Series 2's got a 9-speed gearbox and it's got an LCD screen and it's got a few other things going for it. The W204 was a 6.2 litre V8 engine, which I don't think anyone would dispute. Sounds fantastic. And I think there was a lot of pressure on the engineers when they produced this version, the W205, because they had to make sure that they didn't take any of that away. It was all about marketing. It was about the segment that they had created. And they spent a lot of extra time on the exhaust. It's got butterfly valves everywhere. I think they delayed the release of the car for a period of time to get the exhaust right. And you go to the back of the car and it's actually got a rear diffuser which has fake exhausts on it and the real exhausts are behind it. And they're tiny, the outlets are tiny. And they go into a sort of this kind of resonator box. They spent most of their time putting the flutes in the inside of the resonator, not 9 flutes, not 7, but whatever the right amount was, to make sure that the resonance of the sound was exactly what they were looking for. And that's where the sound is fantastic. Volker Lutz was the designer of the C-Series, this car. I'm sure when he sat down with his easel and his T-square and his one of those pencils that gives it a bit of that, he was thinking that the target market was going to be, because the first C-Series comes out and then it goes off to AMG for its high-performance drugs program. But I think when he originally thought about the car, he thought, a businessman's going to buy this, it's $120,000 to buy. But on the way home, when he's feeling like it, he can press a few buttons and turn the exhaust on and go button on and pin his ears back and put a smile on his face while he's listening to the stock market report. The reality is, this car, it's a social hand grenade. It's like one of those mates you've got where you go out, you never know what you're going to get there. Unhinged, you don't know if you're going to get in a fight, you don't know if you're going to get locked up for the night, you don't know if you're going to be doing a runner because he's done something or whether you're going to have to stick up for him. But we've all got mates like that. There's a segment of the secondary market, and I think they're completely comfortable with this car because they understand what unhinged, never know what you're going to get people are like. This car is brash, it's intimidating, it's noisy, it's the antithesis of a very quiet electric car rolling down the street and not bothering anyone. It's the complete opposite to all of that. And I think that's why some people in that enthusiast market love it.